It's just a long lost look in your eyes, brings out a love that I can't disguise. So take me down to the places I've never seen. Oh, don't you try to kill me with kind. It's just your love that's driving me wild. Oh, from the dawn we rise, with the heart we cry, to the light we go, to the light we go. From the darkest night, from the fire inside, into the light we go, into the light we go, to the light we go. It's just a long lost look in your eyes, brings out a love that I can't disguise. Oh, from the dark we rise, with the heart we cry, to the light we go.
Welcome back, guys. We're here for more LCK Spring 2018. I am Valdez. With me is Papa. We just got done with one of the biggest shellackings here in Korea. Kingzone crushing SKT 2-0. But now we're going to move on to our second match of the night. Will be the ROX Tigers up against MVP.
And honestly, today was about a hype game one, but also about learning about the new patch. Didn't really feel like we had time to, Valdez. Felt like patch 8.4 was an afterthought to the demolition of SKT T1. So I'm hoping we start learning. I'm hoping we see some more information about patch 8.4, some new picks. I hope we see some more Swain, because we have the Dragon Master himself, ADD, in this game.
I think we will either see it picked or banned at least one of the games that we have. But either way, guys, let's introduce our two teams first off.
중요한 1승을 거둬야 하는 두 팀이 만납니다. 먼저 안정적인 포스트 진출을 위해 바짝 뒤를 따르는 팀들과의 격차를 벌여야 합니다. 그러기 위해선 오늘도 그들의 연승을 이어갑니다. ROX Tigers!
The ROX Tigers coming in after a big win over KSV, looking good. Or that was MVP, but ROX Tigers still looking pretty good overall. 7-5 in fourth place, +2. We want more than just the postseason. We want to get up there in that playoffs.
And of course, the team you'd compare them to most was MVP in spring last year, where they made playoffs but predictably couldn't go far in the playoffs. ROX Tigers, they're shooting high. They're looking like one of our top teams in Korea, and I think we've all been guilty, even after their success, even over the halfway point in the season, of thinking, okay, impressive, but when's it going to fall apart? When is the hype train going to actually stop rolling along? Feels like with a performance against MVP today, coming off a great victory, another consistent performance will continue to segment or to cement the fact that ROX Tigers really are here to shoot for the top.
Yeah, we need to see some more games, but we're going to see one tonight up against their opponents here.
색깔을 되찾으며 잊고 있었던 승리의 감각도 되찾았습니다. 오늘 승리로 강등권의 아슬아슬함을 벗어 던집니다.
MVP looking good after their win up against KSV. I got that right this time. Definitely gaining some fans, and all of their very passionate fans are still here, the whole lot of them. We can get out from the risk of promotions. They're still in 9th place, but if they got a couple more wins, they might not have to go to that relegation.
And they're certainly trending up, Valdez. They were at 0-5 not long ago. Now 4 match wins in their last couple of series, not consecutively, but they've shown that they really are deserving of being in that pack of teams at 4 and 8. BBQ, Jin and MVP are the 3 teams that are around that second relegation spot. Feels like Kongnu Monster is a step below them. Loving some of the cheerfuls here, handed out by the MVP faithful, and we already know that if they start winning, the crowd will be lit.
They always are. I love when we get the interviews here for MVP because they stay and they cheer. It's a lot of fun. ADD here.
The Swain Master.
He's the Swain Master, and who knows on 8.4, right? We saw Swain on 8.3, and that was a new pick. We were expecting maybe an 8.4, but maybe he'll bring out even something new because there were changes to the top lane as well. Maybe he's got even a different pocket pick champion. Let's see.
And the ROX Tigers consistency is what this graph is all about. KSV, Jin, MVP, KT, and BBQ. Varying strengths, but there is no Robin Hood going on here. They're just winning Valdez, a single loss to SK Telecom T1. Actually looking conspicuous. Such is our higher and higher expectations for how good the ROX Tigers are. Also, consider that they have not had a 3-game series in their past 4 matches. They're looking to add another 2-0 to the board, whereas MVP, if you follow the schedule, it's time for a loss.
We're up and then we're down, and up, down, and finally up on the end, right there up against KSV. You'll notice they beat BBQ Olivers twice and SKT1 once. Those were the only 2 teams they defeated before Sunday. So the question is now, where do they go from there? Was it KSV having a really rough series against MVP, or was it MVP actually learning how to win in the way that the ROX Tigers are as well?
I mean, difficult to say. I think we were very KSV focused because of our higher expectations, but MVP have been the surprise packet the last 8 matches. And speaking of surprise packets, here's that hidden card, as the Koreans always call it. The Joker pick, the pocket pick, it was Swain, the Scion taken away. He's depressed, his champion's meta. He's found a new one, and he's ready for the Swain meta as well.
No doubt we'll see it picked or banned at least once. I would expect a ban more likely than not, but again, it's a new patch, and as you mentioned before, this isn't the super hype drilling of Kingzone over SKT. This should be at least a more laid-back series where we learn a bit more about the patch and perhaps even more about the strength of Swain tonight.
If we have another series like our first one, obviously can't be a copy-paste, but similar, maybe we just sit back and enjoy what patch 8.4 is bringing us, as we have Lava versus Ian. Improving Lava was what I would say 3 weeks into the season. Now Lava is just one of our better mid laners with his consistency in terms of play, but reviving Ian, whose reputation took a big nosedive in summer season after his struggles away from Syndra. Looking to inflict some more pain. He is one of the most popular members of this MVP squad. I'd love to see a new pick for him. Ahri is definitely playable with the new Lost Chapter items, and of course, one of his most famous picks. So we'll see if the Syndra or the Ahri is revived, where his opponent getting a little bit of assistance from the coach. They know this is another match they need to win convincingly if truly they are going to be this team that can have a real impact on playoffs.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to this one. After we saw SKT going down earlier, what is the ROX Tigers going to bring in terms of their power level tonight? It's going to be hard until we see them face off against Kingzone once again, but definitely another match that we're predicting, or I'm not sure about you, Papa. I'm predicting ROX to win this one pretty big. I was thinking 2-0. What about you?
I think MVP could actually pose a lot of threat here. I don't know about winning this series, but winning a game I think is very possible. So even if MVP take this to 3, that'd be pretty big with how much form ROX is in. But I'm also ready for ROX to cement where they are. Maybe I'm just a hater. Maybe really they are a team that over the on-paper roster have been able to just outperform. And if they can also adapt to patch 8.4, the first big change, that will really re-announce to everyone that ROX Tigers are ready to go.
That is a really good drawing. That is Caitlyn and, of course, Pilot on the right.
If you told me that was Como, I would believe you also.
You know, yeah. I wasn't going to say anything, but, you know, in this case, probably. But, yeah, he's been famous for the Caitlyn. He played it 3 times in a row up against KSV. And
there he is.
There he is again. He's got his birthday hat on. Feels pretty birthday for him. At least felt like a birthday present after winning up against KSV on Sunday. So they're all smiles in the booth. They're looking to continue.
ROX look a lot more serious, actually.
Yeah, you know, massage is going on there, whereas all smiles for MVP. Let's jump into pick and ban for game number 1. So let's open the textbooks. Let's go back to learning about 8.4. What is it going to look like for ROX and MVP this time? Well, we called it. It's going to be a ban on SeongHwan.
How sad. 8.4 SeongHwan is even stronger, but ADD's drawing bans, which is already a sign that his team is rising in power, because if you're drawing pocket bans, it says something good about how you're doing. He'll continue to just have a fun little time in the booth, but AD carry bans is something we've seen pretty commonly on this patch, and so far starting off with the Varus on the side of MVP.
Yeah, gotta take away that Varus pick. It was one of the AD carries that wasn't touched in the recent changes on 8.4. We are also going to see Skarner taken off the Rift this time around. We saw that banned a couple times by SKT in our first series tonight.
My indication is that ROX on blue side have that extra freedom to ban away the SeongHwan. I'd be surprised if they do it on red side, but it would even announce more their respect level for the champion if it became a red side ban as well, because it would likely be a blind pick top laner in that particular regard. But I believe it was ADD saying in the post-match interview that with just enough tinkering, he felt like SeongHwan could just be pick or ban. It already is ban against him. But speaking of the bans, they're over. The Gangplank still hitting the bench after all of the nerfs. And first pick, there's many different ways you can go in terms of the draft. The Zoe now absent, of course. Could just go for a power jungler. How that looks like. Speaking of power junglers, look who's risen in priority. It's our second player to play the Olaf. We've only had two so far. Peanut a handful of times, but now Olaf a second time for SeongHwan, as we see a couple of hovers here.
MVP definitely some of the players that love to troll in Champ Select by hovering a bunch of the new stuff or some of the stuff you just don't see very often. The Olaf makes a lot of sense. No doubt ROX Tigers and MVP were watching that last series. Tristana, that was banned a couple times by Kingzone, is going to get first picked here by MVP.
Maybe the Tristana meta is hitting Korea a little bit later. Sometimes AD carries take a lot longer to arm here. Jinx, for example, was never played until their first round of nerfs a few years ago. So the groupthink does rule supreme. Talked about the big junglers, two of them taken, the Sejuani. A little bit more mobile to get out of the way of the Olaf, but certainly will not out-trade the Olaf in the early game. And the Tristana priority above something like Xayah or Rakan. The Xayah would have been what you expected on the 8.3 tier list, despite a nerfed Tristana. MVP are definitely focusing on turret destruction, I would imagine, with the early Tristana priority.
Well, with all these new bans coming through, the Galio slips through. Lava definitely no stranger to that pick, so we are going to see that picked up. Very good with the Olaf. We already saw what Kingzone can do with that. And I mentioned it before, ROX Tigers, another team that loves to get aggressive, so already I feel like off to a good start in this pick ban.
Ian does have his Azir and also Corki to answer it, but this is very high priority on the Vladimir coming through from Lindarang. One of his better picks, one of his carry picks early in the season when he had a more narrow champion pool. I can tell you that this comp is all about running as fast as possible and having Galio react. And opting into double AD carry against backline Wombo is going to be risky, but scaling mid laner of Azir or Corki was the way we expected him to go. He will go that way, but it feels like the game plans for both teams are already identified. Double AD carry, playing around the siege, and a pylon comp from ROX Tigers.
Yeah, it's going to be cool to see. I want to see what direction they take here in the second ban phase. Got some stuff left available. All the supports have not been picked just yet. And no AD carry so far for the ROX Tigers. So let's see where MVP wants to focus. Sangyoon, let's go for the carry and some kind of leaf Pokemon, it looked like on that sign.
There's a Lava fan on the other sign. There's Sangyoon on our screens. Problem I see for MVP already is that if you think about how this game will play out, if Lindarang enters the enemy jungle, first rotation will come through from Galio, and MVP want to delay the pace of the game, it feels like the Olaf will just increase the pace of the game exponentially, and may not be 7 kills or legendary pre-20 minutes like our first series, but a scaling mid laner against a first rotational Galio and an invading jungler on patch 8.4 with less vision makes Beyond's early job already pretty tricky, whatever happens in the second round. They don't want to give over Xayah Rakan for like almost the dream draft on blue side, and Caitlyn also will be taken away. So looking at Sangyoon's champion pool, Varus taken away very early. He was the one who said that Kalista is gone. Let's see if he was fibbing, because Kalista is one of the few AD carries we've seen this season online. The Kog'Maw, though, given how Prey did, also a very possible job. It could be Kog'Maw and Tahm Kench on the side of ROX Tigers.
It's funny, after all the changes, we still see bans on GP and Gnar after all that. And Ornn going to slip through. MVP is going to pick that one up, most likely for ADD. You don't really see Tristana Ornn too often.
If they go Kog'Maw here, it would put them very heavy on magic damage. The Jinx hovers. We're just hovering everything here, so we'll wait and see what they settle on. Sangyoon was telling a fib, Valdez. He said that he was surprised if they'd ever see Kalista again. His own team locks it in, and we get to see the adjusted Kalista. In many cases, a nerf, but clearly not as severe as Sangyoon was letting on. And we get also the dream duo, Kalista and Thresh, the good luck choosing who to focus on duo. ROX Tigers, they're going to pile on, and the Thresh will be in the back line to join Olaf, Vladimir, and Galio.
Yeah, and with all the supports left, Max eventually thinking about Braum here. He's played so many different picks. He's one of the support players that has a plethora of different things that he can go for, weird off-meta picks, but he goes for the Braum. He's only 0-1 on it. He's played one game, but decides in this case that he's got to bring it out again.
And I'm really scared for MVP. You can see what they want to do. They have a very strong siege and disengage and engage around that. But if the pylon starts, almost sounds like I was talking about StarCraft there, but if the bouncy castle or the initiation trio start for ROX Tigers, it's going to take a lot of items for MVP to be able to turn around and fire or flash backwards and be able to take down the front line. Olaf will keep rampaging. And my indication is it's going to take MVP too long to scale. And we're on patch 8.4. We're expecting shorter games already.
Yeah.
So drafting this sort of comp on 8.3, you wouldn't give it a pass, but you'd say there's going to be 40 minutes, 45 minutes is going to be very attractive for MVP. Drafting on this patch, that's tricky.
Also, I want to see more of what Pilot can bring to the table in terms of stuff that is not Caitlyn. He looked really good on the Caitlyn all 3 games, 8.3. Decides that Tristana is going to be his pick for 8.4. I still like he has to do a bit more proving here. He's only played, 5, 6, 7 games. We haven't seen all too much of him, but so far, liking the picks and the bans here from ROX Tigers, I feel like they have more of a steady way on 8.4 going for them.
And while there's a late game that MVP wins, maybe there are no late games to be had. 31 minutes, our longest game so far on the day, only out of 2. If this one goes 31 minutes, I cannot see MVP winning.
It's going to be rough for them. We'll see if they're going to prove us wrong. Maybe they can bring that old meta into the new patch. That's the big question. But ROX Tigers looking to get aggressive early. Let's see who's going to win it in game number 1. So here we go. Already MVP starting off with the shenanigans.
And MVP desperately wants to invade with Braum at level 1. And that's not just because of the power of Braum in the level 1. It's we need to know where Olaf is starting and make sure we get as much early information to allow Beyond to actually pick up his cams to stop the delayed invades from the Olaf that we have now learned will play all of his time in the enemy jungle if he's allowed to.
Yeah, you can see that special ward on the blue buff, but looks like even a control ward early on the right side here from MVP.
That was placed down by ADD. Very interesting. Don't know what his first buy will be. Believe he was the one to place that control ward. He only has refillable right now, but he can, of course, craft an item. So the theory here from ADD is put down a control ward, enter lane with no items, and then be able to craft one after. So that information will be there to ROX Tigers. Definitely going to be pinged out by Lindarang and let them know, well, why would you do this? It has to be about early vision.
Taking a look at the new Kalista down in the bottom lane, you guys will notice that the attack range taken back about 25, so just a bit shorter. I think originally they were thinking about 500, but they were like, nah, that's too much.
So let's talk about the Kalista changes. As SeongHwan is like, wait, what? This is the bad news for him, is that the invade he was going for is going to be scouted. That was a very early invade to red buff into level 2 invade. And that means that the entering with no items situation was worth it for ADD, because he relieved so much pressure from Beyond, putting down that control ward at level 1 that had, of course, the permanent duration until it's cleared.
Afterwards, SeongHwan has to sulk back in his own jungle, slink back into the Raptors, and just do normal stuff, not fun Olaf stuff in the right side of the MVP jungle. So we'll see exactly what kind of route he wants to take afterwards. Most of the top side of the red side jungle is taken already by Beyond.
And now you see Ian. This is a real team effort by MVP to stop Olaf from doing basically what we've seen him do the 3 times on the Rift. We've seen Olaf extensively counter jungling with just reckless abandon. You know, the Olafs so far have been very impressive. 3-0 jungle Olaf in the LCK this season. Lindarang able to push around top side, so that's where Olaf is going to be most likely to rotate around. Going for a late invade on the Krugs, very possible. But coming back to the Kalista, a range nerf is, as an AD carry especially, one of the most severe nerfs you can do, so understandable that a lot of people thought that Kalista would be more deprioritized, and there was a lot of AD carry bans this game. There is no Kog'Maw in this game because they would have been so heavily on the side of magic resist that AD and Beyond would basically have a budget way to be overwhelmingly tanky. You buy an adaptive helm and you're basically a tank until 3-4 items in the game. So they go for an AD threat. The Kalista also allows for more backline pressure with their Galio, so that part makes sense. But the changes we're expecting with the Kalista is now a little bit less AD, unless around the Oathsworn or around the person that he's bound to. But the attack speed is higher, and that means that attack speed, the standard build, the Blade of the Ruin King into the Hurricane, is going to reap more rewards because attack speed purchases are based on your base attack speed. Base attack speed is higher. When it comes to the Renset potential, it's going to be more risky because of the shorter range, but the payoffs are potentially higher. So while it is overall enough, and in the laning phase, if you're against a superior 2v2 duo, the fact that you don't get the same mana cost reset, the fact that the mana nerfs are there on the Ren is actually very significant. When you're with Thresh and you're in a winning 2v2, when it comes to early trades, not going to be as consequential.
Well, we wanted to see some fun stuff from Ian there in the mid lane, but he just went very standard. I'm going to hold that thought as we have a Lantern Cake into the Flash. They're looking for that big time, but Pilot's like, guys, I'm playing Tristana, like, please.
Always the chance there. Because he led with the Flay, he knew the Flay wasn't there to interrupt the rocket jump. Thresh is one of the best to interrupt a Tristana. The new best is Vladimir with his his E, his Triumphant Roar, I believe it's called. Lindarang's gone
Majestic Roar, actually.
Majestic Roar. You're the Vladimir main around here, I guess. But Lindarang has gone Spell Thieves. I did say in Series 1, I expect to see plenty of Spell Thieves into Remnant of the Watchers, just because it's a way to get more vision on top side and take a sweeper. Very early roam by Lava.
Yeah, this is not something you see too often. Lindarang's going in. There was only one ping, but here comes the Ignite, the flash.
Oh,
it
no.
just barely misses, but the Justice Punch comes in. That might be enough. First Blood goes over to Lindarang. Even though the taunt misses, they do connect on the kill.
He couldn't help but grimace when he misjudged the flash, but it didn't matter in the end. Nice chase, and the Crimson Rush from Lindarang means he has enough damage and just a Q to finish him off. Items had already been complete, but it was only a delayed Doran's Shield into a Sapphire Crystal, so not that much combat stats. Means that he's taken down. It's a nice first blood there for ROX Tigers, and it means that the GP10 item is going to be finished even earlier for the Vladimir.
Yeah. And you don't see that kind of roam too often from the Galio.
6 minutes for his Remnant of the Watchers. That's so early in the game.
Nice.
This Vladimir already, second and third item is going to be a couple of minutes earlier. When you do get the Remnant of the Watchers, no longer is there the quest penalty. It's going to be in a range versus melee matchup, and plenty of Qs that may not damage. The damage may not register because of the Bellows Breath healing, or shield, I should say. But definitely the gold will register for the Vladimir.
He's definitely feeling good, and you can say, you know, just to finish my point, like they were purposely trying to go for that early on, especially just to catch ADD off guard. You don't see the Galios going for that kind of roam too often, and there was only one ping. I don't think it was properly communicated from MVP because it seemed like they just had no idea, did not expect it. So good idea from the ROX Tigers. I mentioned it before. They're one of these teams that like to bring these new different styles in, and so far looking pretty good.
And you're right to compliment the lane timing, or the roam timing, I should say, because there was no teleport used by Ian, and the lane control had been there for the Corki. That was the one lane that was pushing in for MVP in the early game. So the one time he had a roam timing open, it gets Lindarang ahead in a really big way. And again, Remnant of the Watchers into eventually, after the quest is cashed in, the Sightstone effect, the warding effect means that an extra sweeper can come as Max.
He's being dived on here just all alone. Looks like a moment where he was trying to freeze the lane, and ROX is like, nope, you're going to go down.
That was the key special last year, but now that ROX Tigers are one of our top teams, those are things that are being turned against MVP already. ROX Tigers, not even through the Olaf, have a massive lead in this game. Oh boy, things are already looking very difficult for MVP. We said in draft, this draft on 8.4 feels a bit outdated because it's all about the scaling. Scaling's coming early for ROX, and the scaling's looking like forever away for MVP.
We're having the multi-view replay. Nicely done here, Spo TV. The Ignite comes in, and yeah, he was just trying to freeze it, and he walked up to him and said, really, dude? I'm just going to take you down then, I guess.
Gold lead is going to look insane this game after the first item from Vladimir. It's 1,400 gold from 2 kills. And Lindarang walks up. He's going to have the Sightstone effect early. He's going to have an extra sweeper because then ROX can have multiple sweepers. We're expecting a game, a meta on patch 8.4 where sweepers will be much more difficult to justify because of the lesser vision available with no Tracker's Knife. And also, when it comes to our Predator junglers, the opportunity cost of not rushing the Tracker's Knife is gone. So it's not something I actually thought about till now. But if you go for a Predator jungler, previously you kind of need to stay in the jungle and get boots and Tracker's Knife because the Tracker's Knife is needed for the early vision control. Both of the smite options are purely for offensive reasons and, of course, for a little bit of help in clearing. So getting the boots no longer is a big cost to the junglers. So that is an indirect buff to Predator junglers.
Interesting runes here from Kalista. Goes for the Gathering Power, which on 8.4, we don't really know if that's going to be a big rune, but also takes the one, I forget the name, but when you're above 70% health, you do extra damage. So predicting that he'll be above 70% health.
He also has a Hurricane. These first items are coming thick and fast, and ROX says, well, we want to push bot lane and start roaming as this time they're turning on to Lava. That's difficult. Yeah,
actually the taunt's coming in, and Lava does more damage to both of them than they actually got done to him. Galio still going strong on 8.4.
Not sure about Absolute Focus and Gathering Storm as runes on a Kalista, but Sangyoon, one of our best Kalista players, has clearly seen something that he likes. Watching here already, the Thresh is unlocked. Thresh, Olaf do seem like best friends forever because you can invade as Olaf, and if things go bad, you can flash, ult, and also there's a lantern to get you out of any sort of a bad situation.
And then there's the other friend that thinks he's the best friend, but he's not really, who is Galio, who's like, I want to be your friend too, and definitely helps out. We have
go for an
engage. Done a nice dodge there from Sangyoon, actually, but in the end, the Tristana just pushes them both away. Nice disengage.
And again, remember, more base attack speed means the attack speed item rush gives them more power, but it's not just that. Kalista scales so much with her movement ability, her passive on attack speed, that she's hopping even more. Now she's even more hard to hit. The trade-off is there that obviously if you're in short range, you can still hit her because she only has the 525 range, but around the attack speed, she's still just as elusive as ever.
Well, this is going to be a free Drake as the bottom lane not in a good spot. Beyond not around here. Just going to give that one up. It is only a Cloud Drake this early on, but they do take that one. Next one will be the Mountain Drake. Lava looks like he's having a fun time so far in this lane.
Was our first AP Galio here in Korea. Protobelt Galio too, that one was definitely one that everyone got excited about. Is mixed into builds from time to time. I remember Kuro picking up before too long. Rite of Ages this game, he's powering up. The Vladimir is also going to be just in a huge CS advantage, even for the low CS numbers. The Banner of Command in a game where suddenly there is 3 items on the AD carry. It's going to do a lot of work because in the side lane, only Kalista and Olaf can answer it pretty cleanly. But you do notice that Vladimir took Minion Dematerializer just for that potential turnaround in the late game over a Banner of Command minion.
Nice ward there from ADD, spots the Rift Herald being taken. And Beyond just goes in there and texts once again. They're like, oh yeah, he's back in his hole. So, going to be forced off of that objective.
At least Ian, in between all of this, has got a very early Trinity Force after his Cull cashed in. So he's in a very good spot. Galio will have to be careful about what trades he takes, but Flash still up for Lava means there's no kill threat. This game may be decided around the Corki, though, given how much scaling there is on the side of MVP and how aggressive ROX is.
do they go on this? The play coming in, that's a big trade already. Pilot getting extremely low. But some damage being traded back to Sangyoon. He's just going to lose that absolute focus, but definitely helps him out early in the trade at least.
I like how he has the second Kalista passive in the inventory just to have something there. Have a bit of fun styling with that.
Nice ward is going to spot them, and this gank might be turned around on MVP, but Ian was making his way down, and so ROX decide against diving the turret just yet.
Would love to take the outer turret in the bot lane and start the map-wide pushing effort with the attack speed Kalista pushing up the lane, but for now going to be delayed. That's an early banner of command.
Extremely early.
That was actually a drive-by, I believe,
it
in
must
base.
Have come from in the base.
Yeah, in the base. He promoted a cannon minion in the mid lane to give Corki the push. That's endlessly amusing, not something you expect at 13 minutes.
Wasn't very effective because someone just comes in, does a bit of true damage, and, well, Beyond is using his ultimate to escape. That's not good. And he might even still be caught here. The hero's entrance is going to get the knock up in time. The taunts and all the CC coming in. Sangyoon just needs to dodge out of this one. Tons of damage, and ADD from behind is going to take him out. Have they gone too deep? The Olaf wants to say no, as SeongHwan is still looking for kills here. Lindarang in the front now, trying to get onto Ian here. Now
Re-engage.
Gonna come back in, ADD in a bit of trouble. The heal from Pilot gonna keep him alive for now. And the ROX Tigers say, we've had enough of this. No hooks are gonna land just yet. They will finally back off.
Yeah, the CC layering wasn't ideal, and Sangyoon was already low when this all started. So he didn't have a consistent damage dealer to profit, and the Vladimir couldn't get enough damage rotations through. Watch the replay. If this was full health on Kalista, it would have had a lot of options, but Kalista falls low very early. Is instantly forced onto the back foot after taking one round of damage from Ian. Almost dies to the start, and then has no exit plan. So they run short on damage. The Vladimir shows up late. This should have been the point to really cement the early game lead for ROX Tigers, but it ends up going very even, which suits the scaling team in MVP.
Don't have to watch the rest of that, as you guys kind of get it from there. But yeah, Sangyoon maybe just getting a little bit too far forward, still adjusting to that attack range nerf. So we return to live here. This super early banner, you can see already Lindarang is forced to lose some of his minion dematerializers.
We really haven't been able to judge the pace of games on patch 8.4 as the King's Own SKT series is likely to be an anomaly. So the use of minion dematerializer is something that's heavily scrutinized in other regions because of how important it is in the late game to answer these banner of command Baron buff minions that otherwise just win you the game if you don't have a clear answer. So 1 charge is left on the Thresh, 4 on the Vladimir, and Vladimir is using it largely off cooldown just to answer the banner minions in the lane. So we'll see if that stops and he holds on to, say, 3 or 2 charges, or whether he just uses it liberally to cement the early game lead for the side of ROX.
Well, we're still sitting here, and Sangyoon hasn't used his Kalista item. Do you think he's just going to save it and perhaps use it a little bit later on someone else?
It's one of those things where you can buy one right at the start after you've bound already, so I'm actually ready to wait and see what the think is there. I would assume no, just because otherwise Thresh is very limited in a team fight.
Yeah.
Needs the help to either enter or exit, because it's always a one-way trip with Thresh in the late game. You just kind of go in, put down the box, and die in incidental damage. So we'll wait and see. The Rift Herald taken. MVP trying to cause pressure on the bot side. But that's not really going to find them anything unless Beyond can get over with the second round of initiation.
Beyond still waiting down here, and so far they haven't had an opportunity to gank, as it seems like the bottom lane of ROX is so far playing it very passively. Maybe they read into this somehow, some way.
I do believe it's impossible to rebind after a certain point in the game. I don't think that interaction has changed, even with all the Kalista changes. So I think he's just having a bit of fun styling with an extra item slot. Maybe he didn't go for minion dematerializer and wanted something he just had to keep in his inventory for a while. It's bot lane.
Here's the engage. Nice interrupt there from Key. And can he actually bait them into something more? The Fate's Call comes in, and he sends Key back, saying, go in and die, buddy. I don't care about you. SeongHwan coming on in as Key. Interesting decision there.
Yeah, he was the one who chose to be in the backline a second time, even though Braum hadn't used Unbreakable. So there was never going to be kill threat onto Beyond. That's a bit of a head scratcher. ROX Tigers have been so controlled in their play in previous series, being a little bit more fast and loose in this one, trying to punish MVP scaling draft, and that time they just get punished themselves for an unforced mistake.
Well, it's like, let's give them a chance here before I build my own banner of command, but you can see, nice block to start things off.
And it's Kalista Thresh, so focusing on one member should never actually mean kill threat. Thresh should think this one through, didn't have flash to potentially get out. It wasn't going to be the damage to register. I can understand maybe if Unbreakable was on cooldown, they could think they could go 1-for-1 because Olaf was coming, but either team communication was off or Key is very much a glass half full guy, because that was the wrong move from ROX.
He does his fair share of aggressive moves, part of the reason why their team as a whole has that image, but I'm sure he's scratching his own head after a play like that, so.
How many banners are we going to see on the side of ROX? It's looking like 2. Outside chance SeongHwan goes for the locket, but Raptor Cloak is already finished for Key, so he's certainly working towards a banner of his own.
They're going to hand this gold over to Sangyoon. You see the other two just walk away.
A solo gold to allow him to get to the Blade of the Ruin King faster. He probably has it on next back. In the jungle proximity, these Olafs really are largely about the farm and also the counter jungling, so the proximity to lanes is always going to be a bit lower.
It's going to be 4-on-4 here. No teleports coming in, and there's the Reds. Nice little knock-up on the majority of the ROX members. Going to hook on in. It looks like Lava will be able to heroic entrance out of there, in fact, and everybody lives.
Takes 2 summoners, but MVP able to get a flash advantage, but creating a fight somewhere else on the map while those flashes on cooldown when we're only 19 minutes in is pretty unlikely. So ROX will be happy with the trade. They will also not lose their mid lane turret as Lava can just teleport in. So nice objective play by the ROX Tigers.
Yeah, feeling pretty good about that one so far. So banner command going to be used off cooldown by ADD.
Just on a siege minion. He's just using it for lane control as much as possible, which I think is definitely going to be fine. Doesn't need to be judicious about it till later in the game. There's not going to be any teleport plays you'd imagine from Lindarang the next few minutes. I'd really like to see the goal, just to see how much the Remnant of the Watchers, now Eye of the Watchers, is already granted to Vladimir. Who's definitely getting frustrated by this extra lane control that ADD's been able to get.
Yeah, after all, it pushes you under turret, but of course, MVP not looking for any kind of turret dive at this point in the game. Just puts a little bit of extra pressure. So SeongHwan, taking that Rift Herald a little bit earlier on, is going to push down mid lane.
Yeah, they saw the Corki recall, and that's why it was used. Corki does get back to base, get back from base very fast with the package, but the charge will get in at full health, and most of the turret damage already done.
Yeah, Key is going to get the lockdown, though. He's got that package, but they just CC him to death. That's going to be a very nice kill, and they want more. Going to interrupt that E there from ADD. Forces the flash away from the fight, and they're charging down with the Rift Herald down the mid lane.
That's a really big mistake from Ian. It's uninterruptible, but it was too late in the package. Here we go!
On in. They're coming into the back line. That's going to be another kill. What can they get after the flash in now from the Vladimir? Lindarang, feeling confident, picks up another one, and they get 2 turrets. What else can they get?
Such a big mistake from Ian. If you use the package, you're able to go over CC because it overrides if you use it early enough. He didn't use it, didn't respect the hook hitting, and they may lose 2 turrets and Baron if Lindarang and Lava are able to zone beyond away.
Yeah, it seems like Lava is on zoning duty. That Kalista
at the end.
They're willing to take this one, and there's the taunt saying, no, you can't get near, and will they even get more? The Sejuani ultimate comes in. They got to be careful. Too many low members, and this Corki Tristana can pop off. Bit of a mistake here from ROX sticking around this long. That's going to be 2 kills given over, but at least they do get the Baron.
Yeah, the passenger play was started in the mid lane. It gets them the Baron. At the end, maybe they gave up some numbers, but crucially no Baron to the side of MVP to really profit off the banner synergy against this magic damage heavy comp on the side of ROX Tigers, and overall very clean Baron take as well with the Kalista Rand. So MVP once again on the back foot. We mentioned in Champ Select, scaling in this patch looks difficult. Already they're going to be put under the test. Fine tooth comb, the microscope, this 22-minute Baron there for ROX Tigers.
I've got to feel good about that one so far. So where will they push after this? Seems like bottom lane continues down to the bot side. That tier 1 up in the top lane still hasn't been taken, even though Lindarang has been pushing against that banner of command. Seems like it's delayed that push a little bit.
Early Void Staff for laning phase for Lindarang. I imagine the Vladimirs and Rumbles of the world will still go for the Void Staff second against tanks to have some lane pressures. Oh, baby. We're seeing it again. Second.
Here we go.
Banner it up. Baron minion in the LCK. The first one broke a base turret. It's the true MVP here. It's being the VIP. It's being just ushered to lane by SeongHwan.
Yeah, and this is a very early Baron, too, because of the way this game played out. So already here at 23 minutes into the game, they want to just engage and get out of there, trying to save Sangyoon's life. The Hero's Entrance is going to come in. Big knock-up with the double Fates call and the Hero's Entrance. That's going to be 1 kill there onto Max. And that minion is still alive attacking the turret.
It was attacking champions the entire time, though, so wasn't able to get damage. It's one of the things you can do against the bannered up minion is force a fight. They're forcing a fight behind, though, Valdez, and I think they'll still lose the turret.
The hook's gonna come in. Not sure if that's the recommended target onto ADD. Trying to get Ian in the end, but very aggressive pushing from ROX Tigers, especially after picking up the kill.
I do like the thought from MVP. If you can force a fight and trivialize, that's a good start, but there's a second banner. It's from the Olaf, like we mentioned. No minion dematerializes at all left from the side of MVP. No smite in range. This one's going down.
Yeah, it's going to be at least 1 turret, and this is the meta, guys. This is 8.4. You'll see a lot of this. Once you get the Baron, you come in here with your 1 or 2 banner of commands, and you just sit here and protect it.
And you can play 1 lane as well. In the past, this sort of play would not work because you're not actually getting enough inside lanes. They have to engage your MVP, but they're so far behind.
So Max might go down in the back line. There it is. Lindarang picks up the kill as the push, it never ends. 5 members down the bottom lane. Not sure if this is a good or bad thing, Pop, but this is a very interesting passage of play we're seeing.
And there's just nothing MVP can do, and ROX are playing it the right way. We never see this in Korea, but when the bannered minion and the hot fixes come through, there's no counterplay unless you fight.
Nice 4-man knockup. Can they follow up after it? EDD looking for it. Ian on the chase as well. The ultimate's going to come in. Looks like Lindarang is pretty screwed, but they're going to turn it around. They're trying to engage. Not sure about this one. Sangyoon going in, picks up 1 kill, but he's going to bait Lava in as well. A triple kill over to Pilot now, who was looking for more. So they stay a little bit too long, and MVP cleans up a bit on the end.
And MVP eventually, there's so many invitations by ROX to fight. They see the low mana bars, they go in, and out of nowhere, Pilot is 5-0-2. Ian is about 2,500 gold away from his Infinity Edge. I don't think it will be the tipping point because ROX have already broken the base. But that was just a little bit too eager from the side of ROX Tigers, and they give over the maximum to MVP when they could have been a lot more defensive.
Well, let's take a look at the replay here.
Just look at the health bars. SeongHwan is below half. Galio is at half. And it's a huge Ornn on the call. The Forge God hits 4. And then from there, it's the right call by MVP. Go in. Go for the pylon. Attempt to get away from the Vladimir fails. They choose to re-engage. So they don't have any great exit plan. There's a lot of chase available to Tristana and Corki. Tristana going to be able to pick up the closest target and just rocket jump ahead again and again. They lose 4, though. And now we wonder, is the game over? Because suddenly MVP have got the items that are looking impossible to piece together at 25 minutes.
Hey, we're talking about scaling in a way on the side of MVP. This definitely scales them up very fast. Even a Knight's Vow already completed here on Beyond, so they know what they're doing in terms of their composition, but interestingly enough, after this, well, Lava in a bit of trouble just trying to escape here, but it looks like he's going to go down to 5 members rather, as he gets caught in the enemy jungle.
I just feel like the general plan of playing 1 lane was correct, but they've lost the Baron. Vladimir hasn't gone topside. They've broken the base when there's still an outer turret and top lane up. Get the easy objectives, ROX Tigers. I understand the thought of the strong scaling on the side of MVP, but you need to use windows of power. Take the top lane turret, put down the deep vision. You still have a very strong Baron secure and Baron turn team. With the top turret up, your ability to secure enough vision around Baron, enough information, is looking tricky.
Well, you were talking about visiting another lane, and they're going to go all in up towards the top side. 3 members on top of ADD. Where's that Galio? Still dead. So it looks like ADD, just to the 3 of them, is going to go down. No vision in the river to see that one coming.
Yeah, he wasn't even moving there, MVP. Thought they had enough wards with just the river ward. It wasn't enough in the triangle brush. ROX Tigers push up. They finally get the last of the easy objectives. And a second Baron is probably what they need to close this game.
Well, they certainly have a pretty good Baron team with the Kalista at least to do that damage onto the Baron.
Now notice it's Rage Blade also, so it gets the second, you get the double spears on those auto attacks, and that means that your Baron secure range is quicker achieved than before because you stack up the spears much faster. So this is a build that in an extended fight does more damage, but specifically around Baron allows them to claim it even earlier with the Ren.
Lava going to start that slow push in the bottom side as the Baron is nearing its spawn timer, 10 seconds away. And all of the vision, look at this side. It's just all over to the side of the ROX Tigers. So they're going to struggle to clean that up and try to challenge this Baron some way.
To see the control ward in the pit. It's placed late, so the spot vision does see the ward. See what ROX wants to do here is a lot of engage on the side of MVP and non-committal engage from both Sejuani and Ornn. So you want those ults to be down when you actually start the Baron.
Coming in quite confidently here is MVP saying, well, we do still have a large amount of engage, and perhaps if we catch someone, we can start a fight off well.
There's no minion pressure being laid by ROX because Lindarang's gone Ghost Flash, so they just want to fight. They're trying to play this in a very linear fashion, which gives MVP more chance to outplay compared to another style where it was going to be about the minion wave pushing in bot lane and someone having to move to react. So this is a different game plan from ROX. It's very much about wanting to take the right 5v5, but that means that MVP can stay around Baron and defend the vision game a lot cleaner than in any other games we've seen recently on the Rift.
ADD gonna take a quick visit up towards the top side. ROX still, though, not confident enough to go for the Baron just yet. Curious to see if Pilot can carry when he's given this much gold in a situation where he's behind. He looked really good on the Caitlyn, but a much different spot here as they are behind, and he's on a totally different champion of Tristana.
Right, so now they're trying to create pressure. The bannered minion is topside. Braum is recalled. They start the Baron. Secure should be at around the 2,000 range, I'd say. I think they have to try something here, MVP.
Yeah, there it is. Ian gets low. And a nice little knock-up call. The Forge God comes in, but MVP just looking for the steal. Can he get it? No, the Ren is going to come down, and someone is going to survive after all of that. A couple of kills there. The Baron ends the kill here for Sangyoon, and the flash hook into ADD. He's going to get caught up as well. They're looking to turn it around. I was talking about Pilot. He's going to flash in and looking for more kills, but the taunt, that was a little bit too much. I asked you to carry, not to go in and die, but at the end of it all, ROX Tigers, they get the Baron. They're going to pick up as much as possible in the end.
Trying to roll through a couple of members. They can go top side with the minion wave that was pushing with the bannered minion that has died. No problem, though. They will break the base in a second spot, and they should take their first inhibitor in this passage of play.
Yeah, there's going to be 30 seconds left on a couple of members of MVP, so let's see how far they want to take this.
There it is.
Banner Command coming in with the Baron.
That's why you have 2 of them.
Exactly, so the push coming in, the Siege minion doing incredible damage. The hook barely going to miss onto Ian. They're going to stop there, though. Lots of low members on the side of ROX Tigers.
Will eventually die. They do not actually claim an inhibitor. The Winions aren't going to be able to pick this one up. You'd imagine as Corki's already rotating. ROX get the second Baron. It's so difficult to break the base in 2 spots where they've done it at 31 minutes. The scaling has finally been achieved by ROX. There's 3 by MVP. There's 3 items on Corki and 4 on the side of Pilot. I think that MVP needed to do this a lot earlier because there's so much secure from a Rage Blade Kalista that you need to put your old calculations out of your mind and understand that she will be able to secure around 2,000. Then the fight goes in. Sangyoon too frisky. But Pilot uses Flash to get into the back line. To me, that's far too much. He thought he could get an instant double kill and get a second reset, but just the buster shot onto SeongHwan isn't going to kill him. And ROX Tigers clean up enough to break the base a second time.
Well, you can tell that Pilot is certainly trying his very hardest to carry his team, even from behind. He saw an opportunity. Sometimes it doesn't pan out, guys. So we can forgive him this time. Still sitting at 6, 1, and 3. Up to 4 items at this point. Working on his last one.
Vladimir has the new death cap, which has the bigger AP amp. He's at 630 AP. We'll have the highest gold in the game for certain, and his health bar is also massive because of the passive.
Yeah, 3.4K right now is Vladimir. So here we go. Another banner minion. The Bannon minion coming on in, and they're going to engage. They're not going to wait here. They're going onto the Galio, and he disappears. What happened to him? He just gets off the rift. So now ROX Tigers say, okay, these guys are scaling. It's 32 minutes, but they can blow up our Galio like that. He is AP.
Yeah, the pile-on strategy by ROX trying to play one lane has turned on them a second time because there's true engage on Beyond and ADD. If you're going to go scaling, you need the engage. We still think they index too far on scaling. But the engaged duo is allowing them to at least delay the advance of ROX Tigers.
ROX will get the consolation prize of a Cloud Drake, but that's not what they wanted here. They wanted inhibitors, they wanted more turrets. They weren't expecting that much damage to come out. Let's re-watch that.
I mean, it's full AP, double needlessly large rod Galio, so he's not tanky. His W was interrupted very early, so dies in the blink of an eye. Probably shouldn't be at the front line anymore, Lava. Die with his flash up because there was just no time to.
Yeah, certainly not the cleanest game we've ever seen. Some sloppy mistakes, I'd say, on both sides. ROX Tigers overall looks like a stronger team, a much stronger team, but still some of these small mistakes plague them, even up against MVP.
When it comes to ROX this game, what I would want to see, instead of Galio at the front threatening with W, it should be Vladimir rushing in, ghosting in, ulting the backline, and zoning them away from structures if they just want to play one lane. They're sticking with Ghost Flash. They are not trying to play the side lanes any true way because of the power of Banner of Command, but they're making it easy for MVP to just pick the closest target with how much damage is loaded onto Ian and Pilot. Double QSS and the damage core is there. And there is certainly team fights now that ROX Tigers will lose.
Got to be very careful about this. Take a look at the damage here on the side of Pilot. He got fed early after that first push, picked up 3 kills, and now he is sailing off on his flight. So let's see if he can carry here from behind.
And buff has elapsed, so it's only just a banner minion. See if ROX Tigers can actually put any pressure onto Pilot and Ian. If they are able to auto attack, they will clear this minion very, very quickly, Pilot in particular. So with 2 inhibitors down, and the first inhibitor down much earlier in the game, ROX have not found a way to actually get damage onto these inhibitor turrets because the terrain starts to heavily favor these inhibitors because the terrain starts to heavily favor the defending team. And they're super worried that Pilot and Ian will be able to be untouched in the backline while they free hit. I feel like with Olaf, they need to start threatening the backline and taking objectives because there's a lot of standing gold for MVP to pick up. If they pick up an inhibitor, or if they pick up their first Baron of the game, it should really allow them to power through. They can end the game so fast with this team comp, and ROX Tigers seem out of ideas on how to actually take the inhibitors after the turrets was so easy for them to mow down.
Yeah, we've seen this AP Galio from time to time. Definitely has become more popular in recent times. And, well, I mean, MVP's doing a really nice job of stacking enough MR to deal with it. So you were talking about the high amounts of magic damage that's going to come out here. But Sangyoon's the only kind of attack damage, so he needs to get in close. But when you're going up against Tristana that's nearly level 18, might be hard in some cases.
Sieging is not something they do well. They need to commit Valdez because 525 range on the Kalista is not going to cut it for doing damage to these structures. And so far, Lindarang has seemed very unwilling to try to ignore other threats and just spend his time zoning rather than securing kills. That's delayed the game further and further. The gold lead is getting a little bit irrelevant as the Vladimir is already item capped very early into the game. And crucially, Pilot is as far away from item capped because he's able to get the increased Infinity Edge and it's just a Mercurial Scimitar short. The Molten Edge is looking pretty strong. He's at huge AD values. With the Sorcery, it's probably gathering Storm as well. And the Storm Clouds are definitely gathering around MVP. So they're ready to go.
Yeah, I remember in the beginning I was like, well, we'll see if Gathering Storm is strong when we looked at, oh wait, hold that thought, and Lindarang, he's just walking into them. He took so much damage already going into his pool. This is not the engage ROX wanted, but MVP, they're gonna take it and be like, okay, if you're gonna give me free damage, sure. I mean, this red buff, Tristana, who's level 17 and fed.
Free damage, free time. MVP suddenly look like if they're up at a siege and we're seeing no threat from ROX Tigers, they can win. As here's the engage.
Yeah, the TP from behind that ward was about to go down, but look at this, already Key and SeongHwan getting low and the front line, but now from behind, Lindarang trying to go for that. Pilot is zoned out for now. Lots of damage coming down. Sangyoon as well, but look at Pilot. He's got the red buff and he's free hitting. You know what that means? Looking to carry this one. Lindarang out of Zonia's, and here comes Pilot. They want more. Another knock up, another jump, and he's gonna get the slow here onto Sangyoon. Not gonna go too deep as they win the fight.
They were very smart, their MVP, at playing out the fight. They went forward when they saw the teleport behind, and the Locket was there to negate a lot of the damage. Double Aegis items working out for ADD. MVP may have been able to weather the storm here, and the third Baron of the game is likely to go to them.
That it should. 3 members of the ROX Tigers are down right now, 3-2 in terms of members on the Rift here for MVP. So they're gonna go for this one. Let's see if someone can pull off the miracle steal here, but they have so much damage that they'll just knock him away and say, this is gonna be our Baron this time.
It just feels like ROX Tigers heard the elevator pitch of 8.4 from the NALCS, the ULCS, and said, all right, if we get the early game advantage, we put down the banner on the Baron buff cannon minion and we're fine. Unfortunately, their play around that hasn't been good enough. They haven't been able to take an inhibitor by having 2 exposed. Watching the replay, I love how MVP moved forward. The Locket timing was beautiful. Exhausted also was Lindarang. Lindarang was the person who has all the gold on the side here and also the late game threat as Kalista likely to be zoned out. They get no value out of the Vladimir. Lava goes down as well, and Baron buff means so much for MVP.
They wanted to engage together, but Lindarang was a little bit too late. The rest of them were too early on the engage, and Pilot's positioning was perfect. He saw the angles, and he's like, well, I'll just go over to the side, and you're not going to be able to get to me. Already the hero's entrance was interrupted. It went on to Lindarang. Even if it went through, it's not going to be knocking up Pilot or zoning him out at all. So
first Elder of the game at 39 minutes.
Yeah, they're going to knock this one down incredibly fast, and that's going to go over, and here comes the engage now. They're looking for that front line. They're going to get onto the Galio here, and no way that Lava can get out. He does a bit of damage, but they take the kill.
ROX have allowed themselves to be outscaled. It feels like MVP is now ready to go. I saw the Gathering Storm proc. Pilot did take it. It's looking pretty damn sweet, as MVP should break the base and maybe claim the first inhibitor of the game, even though ROX Tigers got an inhibitor turret around 22 minutes. They've never returned to it. Lindarang never had teleport apart from the one play we saw in the mid lane, and this is gonna be insane structure damage for MVP.
You're looking at Corki and Tristana at 40 minutes into the game, full items up. Even the banner doesn't really matter too much at this point. It's gonna help, no doubt, and they're looking to push on into the Nexus turrets. This Galio, Lava still down for 20 seconds, and they'll just sit here, protect this Baroned up banner minion, and go for the kill here. Let's see how long they stay, though. Coming on in, looking for a potential engage as that minion still getting to work. Getting pretty low now is Lindarang, and there's the engage. Gonna get the double knockup. They find Sangyoon on the right side. The hero's entrance gonna save him, and he does get the knockup. But look at the Nexus, it goes down. All the while, we weren't looking at the important stuff. They get the win, MVP in 41 minutes.
Really impressive stuff by MVP. They chose the scaling comp, and then we saw at 23 minutes how toothless they looked trying to force fights to delay the game. It turned out it was all they needed to do, and on their first Baron, they had a comp that could close. ROX Tigers had the right idea. At the early game, they executed their draft very well, but suddenly, Vladimir was too happy to stay defensively. Suddenly, they seem to have no idea how to actually claim the inhibitors after getting 2 inhibitor turrets, and you cannot go for early game and then not be aggressive. The killer edge escaped from the side of ROX Tigers, and MVP closed it out very cleanly.
Not what I was expecting, but MVP on the backs of the scaling comp and some very clean play out of Pilot. I really want to talk to him after this series. I think he definitely could earn the MVP for MVP in this game.
And ROX Tigers are facing the most severe patch change there's been in 2018 until this point, looking like a top team. The patch changes, they feel like they're ready to go. They were found wanting at the end though. They could not close against MVP.
Lindarang looking a little bit dumbfounded in the booth. But guys, we are gonna head into the break, so we'll see you guys in a bit for game 2 of ROX Tigers versus MVP.
안녕하세요. LOL 신문십답의 박지선입니다. 오늘 LOL 신문십답의 주인공은요, 최근 팀을 승리로 이끌어주는 멋진 선수분을 모셨는데요. 바로 킹존 드래곤 X의 피넛 선수입니다. 안녕하세요. 그리고 오늘의 제이스는 바로 프리 선수입니다.
제이스가 보통 이렇게 안 때리고 이렇게 때리거든요. 그래서 어떻게 때리는 건지 제이스 역할 제대로 보여드릴게요.
Let's get started. Can you say hi to your fans out there?
How's it going, guys?
Okay.
My name is SeongHwan. Hello.
So you've got a lot of fans all over the world. So what are your charming points?
Could you speak slow down, please? Slow down, please.
You have many fans
Yeah.
all over the world. So what is your charming point?
Always practice. Always very practice. League of Legends. Show see my fans. Okay.
Your past.
Yeah. Yeah.
Past?
Yeah.
Yep. So you are back with Prey and Gorilla. How do you feel?
Feels so good. Feels so good. Feels so good. Good.
Okay, good.
Oh, okay.
So Peanut is back with you guys. How do you feel?
뭐야, 저한테도 영어로 질문하시네요? 아니야, 무슨 오케이. 저도 매우 기분이 좋아요.
Who's the most noisy person in your team in the gaming house?
Sorry. One more time.
Who's noisy in
Yeah.
in 숙소?
Yeah.
Talking or
I can understand English.
한 번만 봐드려요, 이거 진짜.
I think Frey?
No. 황희. 라스카.
No. Frey.
why?
I don't know. Just
라이어.
because
Liar.
because
Liar.
because
Liar.
just because.
Just because.
Yeah.
Okay. What kind of person is Prey to you?
러브.
He's
사랑이죠. 사랑 그 자체죠.
lover. Okay. Love.
오케이. 사랑 그 자체지.
Then what kind of person is Peanut to you?
숨겨왔던 나의 수줍은 말
쓰레기를 영어로 물어볼까?
What's your goal for this year?
What? Go.
What is your goal
What?
for
This
this year,
year.
2018?
목표.
MSI win. MSI win. And spring win.
Spring win?
Same. Yep.
Same? Okay. So,
Spring win can go MSI. Okay. Yes. First.
spring win?
Yes. First spring win.
And
Yeah.
then MSA.
Oh yes. And then.
And then summer win?
Of course, sure.
And then Worlds win.
I'll try.
But a lot of your fans came to the arena to support for you. So any message for them?
Watch out, court. Watch out, court. And Happy New Year and see you guys.
와, 지야. 아 이렇게. 저 영어 잘 못해요.
뭐 어느 편으로 하는?
무슨 소리예요? 아니야.
이 망치 분량이 좀 없었잖아요. 망치 분량을 좀 뽑아야 되지 않을까? 아니면 뭐 임팩트를 주던. 임팩트를 주는 게 더 빠를 것 같기도 하고.
So you have a lot of fans, you know.
Yeah, I know. I know.
What are your charming points?
wait. I help me out. I don't know what turning point means. Okay. My face. Okay, my face is I'm handsome. Okay. That's my turning point. Okay.
Then who do you want to be close with from other teams?
I love fake. You're still my number one.
Any message for him?
I love you, and you love me. We love.
잘하네.
Okay. Yeah.
What is the best AD carry champion in the current meta for the solo queue?
Now Israel Varus Kogmo.
Any playing tips?
Just play for fun. That's tip.
So what's your goal for this year?
My goal is World Championship. Win!
So last message for your fans, please.
I love you guys. Thank you for watching Sport TV.
여기까지가 킹존 드래곤 X의 프레이 피너 선수였습니다. 안녕.
일단 신문식답을 이 사전에 하는 약간 영어로 하신 분들 많이 봤는데 조금 그 영어 이렇게 유창하지 않으신 분들 되게 많더라고요. 근데 저희는 되게 깔끔하게 거의 그 현지인처럼 한 것 같아서 되게 만족스럽고요. 네, 앞으로도 뭐 이렇게 계속 영어 쓸 기회가 있었으면 좋겠어요.
일단 너무 이지했고요. 너무 이지했고 특히 이 정도면 뭐 언제든지 영화가 필요하시다면 영화가 모르신다, 통역이 필요하다. 그럼 저희를 항상 불러주세요. 봐주셔서 감사합니다.
Thank you.
Thank you guys.
Thank you. See ya.